So let's talk about descriptive statistics. So it's important to know your characteristics of your data when you're starting to do any kind of statistical analysis. Things that we commonly look for in statistics is center, which is a representation or average value that indicates where the middle of a data set is located. We're going to talk about three of these as we keep going. Variation, it's the measurement of the amount of how the values vary among themselves. Also, it kind of tells us how they're spread out, how they relate to each other. The other way is distribution. It's the nature or the shape of the distribution of the data. We can have bell-shaped data, you can have uniform data, you can have skewed data. When you look at the data itself to see what it looks like, it can tell you a lot about what's going on. Outliers, sample values that lie very far away from the majority of the other sample values. A good example of this is think of a major corporation and think of the regular people who work and then the CEO. Usually the CEO salary is an outlier compared to the other salaries of people who work there because it's so far above what other people are making. Another thing is time. Is changing characteristics of data over time. A good example of this is think about when we have a pandemic or when the flu comes around. Hospital visits are pretty normal until something like that happens, and then hospitalization, the numbers of people going to the hospitalization shoots up. And that's a way that we would want to look at these trends so that we can maybe predict in the future how that is happening. An easy way to remember that is computer viruses destroy or terminate. So that is a way to think of these 5 different types of characteristics. So we're going to look at some descriptive statistics. We're not going to cover all of them. There's a ton. But the ones we're going to focus on are mean, median, and mode. First quartile, third quartile, interquartile range, minimum, maximum range, standard deviation, variance, sample size that are missing from your data that's missing from your sample size, and your sample size total. Okay. Measures of center. It's the center of the data set. It's always a way to describe the location. The two that you are going to commonly see is the mean, which you probably all are aware of, which is the average, and the median. So when I talk about the mean or the average, it's where I take a total of something and divide it by the number of items in that total. So think about if I want to get the average weight of 50 people, I take the weight of each person, add it together, and then divide by 50. So if I want to do the median weight of 50 people, I line up all the weights from smallest to largest, and then I go find the middle of that. So because 50 is an even number, I would make the division between 25 and 26 because it's not, because it's even. So think about it. I'd have 25 on one side, 25 on another. If it was an odd number, those are really great. So think I have 13 weights that I want to look at. So I can do 6 on one side, 6 on the other. So I'm going to use that 7th value as my median. And we never do this by hand because we have software to do that. So the median is really oftentimes a better way to look at the center of the data set, and that's because of outliers. And those outliers skew the data. And remember, I gave you my example of the CEO salary. So think about it. If I did the average salary for this company, that CEO salary is going to skew it towards there. And it might say that the average salary is higher than it really is. So a better thing to do is then do the median, and that can correct the outliers. Okay. Again, we can have 2 types of means. We can have sample mean, which is X bar, and we can have population mean, which is this mu right here. So sample mean is when I'm talking about a sample and I get that value from the sample. Population mean is when I'm talking about a population, and if for some reason I can get all the population data that I need. Okay, median, again, We do this as n+1 divided by 2, and we find the location. I posted this up here. You're never going to have to figure this out for this class because Minitab is going to do it for you. And again, I show you how to do it. But again, you don't have to worry about doing it by hand because of Minitab. All right, another measure center is mode. So mode is the value that occurs frequently. You can have a data set with no modes. You can have them with multi-modes. You can have them with 2 modes, which we call bimodal. Okay,